Hash the pizza that changed everything. The autumn rain fell gently against the wide windows of Romano's cafe, creating soft rivers of light that trickled down the glass. Inside, the warm glow of vintage lamps cast a golden hue over the red checkered tablecloths and worn wooden chairs. The smell of fresh basil, melted mozzarella, and baking dough filled the air like a comforting embrace. Harold Winchester sat alone in his usual corner booth, a newspaper folded neatly beside an untouched cup of coffee. At 79 years old, he had developed certain routines that gave structure to his days. Tuesday evenings meant dinner at Romano's. Always the same table, always the same view of the street outside, always alone. His silver hair was combed back with precision, and his navy suit, though decades old, was immaculately maintained. The silk pocket square in his breast pocket was folded just so. Harold believed in maintaining standards, even if no one was watching anymore. He had not always been alone. Once, this booth had been filled with laughter. His late wife, Margaret, used to sit across from him, her eyes twinkling as she stole bites from his plate. But that was 15 years ago now. Their children had grown and moved away, California, London, Singapore. They called on holidays. They sent cards. But they did not visit much anymore. The cafe was quieter than usual this evening. A young couple sat near the door, heads bent close together, whispering and smiling. An elderly woman worked on a crossword puzzle 2 tables away. And then there was the girl. Harold had noticed her the moment she walked in, shaking rain from her thin jacket. She could not have been more than 12 years old, with long brown hair pulled back in a simple ponytail and eyes that seemed too old for her young face. Her clothes were clean but worn, jeans with frayed hems and a faded purple sweater that had clearly been mended several times. She had taken a seat at the counter, studying the menu with an intensity that made Harold's chest tighten. He watched as she carefully counted the coins and crumpled bills she pulled from her pocket, her lips moving silently as she added the amounts. When Maria, the kind-faced waitress who had worked at Romano's for 30 years, came to take her order, the girl pointed hesitantly at something on the menu. "Just a small cheese pizza, please," she said softly. "To go." Harold could hear everything from his corner. The acoustics of the old cafe carried sound in strange ways. Maria smiled warmly. "That'll be $12.75, sweetheart." The girl's face fell. She counted her money again, more slowly this time, as if hoping the numbers might change. Her shoulders sagged. I only have $9.30, she whispered, her cheeks flushing red. "I'm sorry, I thought I had enough." Harold felt something shift in his chest. In that moment, he saw not just a child short on money for pizza, but something deeper. He saw disappointment. He saw hunger. He saw a kind of loneliness that matched his own. Before he could think better of it, Harold stood and walked to the counter. His leather shoes clicked softly against the checkered floor. The girl looked up at him with startled eyes. "Excuse me, miss," Harold said gently, reaching for his wallet. "I believe you dropped this earlier." He held out a $20 bill. The girl blinked. I didn't drop anything, sir." Harold smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes for the first time in months. "I insist. You must have. I saw it fall from your pocket when you came in." The girl looked at the money, then at Harold's kind face, then back at the money. She understood what he was doing. Her eyes began to shine with tears she was trying very hard not to shed. "I can't take your money," she said quietly. "Thank you, but I can't." "Then consider it a loan," Harold said, placing the bill on the counter between them. "You can pay me back someday when you're all grown up and successful. I have a feeling you will be." Maria watched the exchange with knowing eyes, saying nothing. The girl bit her lip. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely certain," Harold replied. "In fact, why don't you order whatever you'd like? A growing young lady needs more than just a small cheese pizza." After a long moment, the girl nodded. "Thank you," she whispered. Then, louder to Maria, "Could I also get a large pepperoni pizza?" "To go." Harold smiled and returned to his booth. He had done his good deed for the day. He felt lighter somehow, as if a small weight had been lifted from his shoulders. He returned to his newspaper, though he found he could not concentrate on the words. 10 minutes later, Maria brought out 2 boxes, one small, one large. The girl took them carefully, holding them like precious cargo. But instead of leaving immediately, she walked over to Harold's table. "Sir," she said softly. Harold looked up. "Yes, my dear, the pizza wasn't for me," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. It's for my grandfather. He's at home. He's sick, cancer. He doesn't have much appetite anymore, but pizza is the only thing he still wants to eat. I saved up my allowance for 3 weeks, but I counted wrong. Harold's throat tightened. He could not speak. The girl continued, her words tumbling out now. He raised me after my parents died. It's just been the two of us for 8 years. The doctors say. She paused, swallowing hard. They say we should make the most of our time together. So I try to get him his favorite foods. Try to make him smile. She held up the larger box. This one's for him, but this one. She placed the smaller box on Harold's table. This one's for you, because I think maybe you're alone too. And I think maybe you understand. Harold stared at the pizza box, then at the girl's solemn, wise beyond her years face. In that moment, she had seen right through his expensive suit and his carefully maintained dignity to the loneliness underneath. She had seen him. What's your name? He managed to ask. Emma, she said. Emma Collins. I'm Harold, he replied. Harold Winchester. Emma smiled, a genuine smile that lit up her whole face. It's nice to meet you, Mr. Winchester. Thank you for helping me. You didn't have to. Emma, Harold said, and his voice cracked slightly. Would you and your grandfather like some company sometime? I find I have rather a lot of free time these days. Emma's eyes widened. Really, Harold confirmed. I was rather good at chess, once upon a time. And I tell excellent stories. Boring ones, mostly, but your grandfather might enjoy them. He would love that, Emma said, her smile growing even brighter. We both would. They exchanged phone numbers, written carefully on Romano's napkins. As Emma turned to leave, carrying her precious cargo of pizza, she paused at the door. Mr. Winchester, she called back. You're not alone anymore. Neither of us are. And then she was gone, disappearing into the rainy evening. Harold sat in his booth for a long time, the small pizza box still unopened before him. Outside, the rain continued to fall. Inside, something had shifted. The cafe felt warmer somehow. The world felt smaller, more connected. He thought about Margaret, about how she had always encouraged him to open his heart, to reach out, to connect. He thought about Emma and her grandfather, facing darkness with courage and love. And Harold Winchester, 79 years old, millionaire, and one of the loneliest men in the city, smiled through his tears. Sometimes, he realized, helping someone else is really just helping yourself. Sometimes the person you're trying to save ends up saving you instead. He opened the pizza box. It was still warm. Outside Romano's cafe, the rain began to slow. And inside, for the first time in 15 years, Harold Winchester did not eat dinner alone, not really. Because now he had somewhere to be tomorrow. Someone who needed him, someone who saw him. He had Emma.